All episodes of A Trial by Podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only. Much to their parents' dismay, neither host is a lawyer, journalist, or investigator. Just two people with microphones and Wi-Fi. All actions discussed are alleged, and all parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. For the full legal mumbo-jumbo, check the show notes.
Another switchback. Wait, this isn't the top. Where's the summit? Why am I doing this?
At REI Co-op, we believe there are places within ourselves
Almost there. You got this.
that we find only outside.
Wow. This is worth it.
We have the gear, inspiration, and advice to help you get there. REI Co-op. Visit rei.com.
What if buying a new appliance felt like a win for your home and your wallet? Save up to 50% plus up to an extra $600 on select major appliances at the Best Buy Appliances Labor Day sale. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy, imagine that.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Sweat moves you forward. Degree Antiperspirant is here to make sure it never holds you back. Clocking in, sweat. Lunch meeting, sweat. Biking home, sweat. Degree Advanced is for the hustlers who put in the sweat. The world's #1 antiperspirant with up to 72-hour sweat and odor protection. Degree, here for sweat. Try it today.
Test.
I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Emily.
And this is A Trial by Podcast. Me and Emily haven't seen each other in a week, which is
Feels like a century.
cuckoo nutso.
We just had a little recap.
We just had a recap.
Yours are always more interesting than mine.
That's because I'm messier than you as a human being. I make worse decisions.
Did we keep in the fact that I was out on my porch till 6 a.m. the one night?
I think we did. I think that was left in.
That was the last time that I got rowdy-ish, I think.
Yeah, but you made no bad decisions.
I was on my porch till 6 a.m.
Yeah, but like you were in a safe place.
That is true.
Yeah, you were fine, dude.
That's true.
Ooh, someone said that I pronounced Old Coolston right in the last episode. Woo, woo, woo. Guys,
love that for you.
I've been killing it with pronunciation. I don't want to
pronunces.
jinx it. Maybe I should just not say that, but I feel like I've been killing it. Okay, let's get into it. I have some housekeeping, a little bit of biz nasty to go over. I'm going to keep it as quick as possible because we have a lot to talk about today.
Oh boy.
Number one, this episode is coming out on Tuesday, September 9th. Thursday, September 9th is our true crime trivia night. So if you are local to the Cleveland area, please come to True Crime Trivia Night. I'm going to put all of the details in the show notes. You should probably call ahead and reserve a table, but there is bar seating and like standing room and stuff too. But we're going to be there. A ton of people we know are going to be there. I know at least a few people are coming of our listeners that we haven't met yet. So I'm super excited. Mm-hmm. We're going to be giving out some little merch items. You know, I don't give out like t-shirts or hoodies or anything because I don't ever know the sizes. But we've got some like fun merch items that we're going to be giving away and everything. And we would just love to meet you guys. So if you're local or local-ish and you don't mind driving to a dive bar in the Cleveland area, it's going to be a really good time. The cocktails are great and we're excited about it. And on the topic of merch, someone emailed me over the weekend being like, hey girl, would you like maybe think about expanding your size range a bit because it's kind of limited? And I took a look and it was limited. So even before this email, I started this process months ago and just kind of never finished it. I've been switching from one merch company to a new one that integrates with our website. So I did go ahead and I put at least one hoodie on there that goes up to 5XL. So if you go to atrialbypodcast.com and go to merch, there's at least one hoodie on there right now. I'm going to be adding more stuff. I only had one hoodie on the site at that time because this is the new merch site that's integrated with our website. The old merch we're not doing anymore. So I'm going to be slowly adding things to that. We've also got some like cool little glass cups, and we've got car magnets and fun stuff on there. The car magnets say, "Please excuse my driving, I'm solving a crime," with our little judgy girl on there. So I think it's fun.
I wish I had room on the ass of my car to put it on there, but
Oh, we'll find you one. I got 2 different sizes.
oh
We'll find room.
no, it's the magnet.
Well, it doesn't. It's plastic.
Yeah, it's a plastic, whatever you call it, bumper.
We'll just have to paint it on your car. Get your car wrapped.
Paid promotion.
Now, as for where we are in the story, so Emily's been on a 6-day bachelorette party. So I did text her this morning because part 3 just came out this morning. And I was like, you got to listen to part 3 so you're all caught up. So Emily is all caught up. So this is coming out on a Tuesday. I'm going to drop the next episode, part 5, on a Thursday, 2 days later. And then the final part will come out the Tuesday after. And yeah, it's going to take up a month, but I put a lot of work into this, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I think people are interested in this case. So that's what we're going to do. Speaking of, I got a comment on TikTok today. This person was very nice that said, hold on, let me just read it.
Every time you say, I got a comment on TikTok, I get stressed.
This is one of our listeners. She's probably listening right now. One moment. Says, "Kelsey, I adore you in the podcast, and I can see how much you put into making it victim focused and are so respectful of families. I love that about you and your show. I do, however, think you overcorrected by not saying Amanda's name in the episode today. Of course, Meredith is the victim here, and it is terrible how forgotten she is in the case, but I think Amanda is a victim too, and we can speak with compassion and respect for Meredith without erasing Amanda." I totally understand this person's sentiment.
But like a 4-episode deep dive with most of it being about Amanda.
This is going to be 6 episodes in total.
Yeah.
Amanda's going to be talked about in 5 of them. So I get her sentiment of like, if you believe Amanda's innocent, Amanda's a victim here too. And I totally respect that. But I'm not erasing Amanda from the story. And no hate to this person whatsoever. She said it so kindly, and I get her point. But I wanted to bring this up of like, this was just a reminder for me, you can never make everybody happy. Like, I just killed myself over the holiday weekend, like pumping stuff out, trying to like do the right thing. And not everyone loves it. And that's okay. And I respect her opinion. But I guess this is just more of a note to myself. Maybe I'll cut this out. Okay. I got 3 more things. They're going to be quick. Epstein list. The Epstein victims are coming together and they're making their own list and putting it out. So I just wanted to say, hell yeah to them.
Hell yeah, brothers.
Huzzah
and sisters.
to those ladies. They're brave as
hell.
hell.
Sisters.
Hell yeah, sisters. Okay, we're diving into the story. You guys know, you heard my mental breakdown. You know where we're at. I had to go through all of this and add in some stuff. I really feel like I'm in a good place with this amount of information. And I got to this point where like I had to fucking stop because I'm losing my mind on this case. And there's so much information. It is endless. One day when I'm doing this full time, we'll do a 25-part series on this case. But for now, I am touching on the most important things in my opinion. And I'm touching on a lot of shit. I think a lot more stuff than any other podcast that I've heard about this case or documentary I've seen about it. Maybe I'm missing stuff. But with that being said, there's so much conflicting stuff in this case. I am sure there are mistakes in here. I am sure of it. I don't know what they are. I've done my best to verify everything, but there's endless conflicting information. So just remember that, I wasn't there at the trial. Okay. I'm doing my best here. I also did my best to be accurate with the timing of like, okay, this piece of evidence was discovered. It's talked about at this trial, but it's not, this argument isn't brought up till the second trial or something like that. Did my absolute best. Probably not perfect. Doing my best here. Okay. So just remember that. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. I'm trying to make it flow well, but when you have to go back into a finished script and add a ton of stuff, it might be a little bit choppier than normal. Are we all okay with that, Emily?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. So we're going to start with some backtracking. Now that we're 10 minutes into the episode, we're going to backtrack. And I want to talk about a mop.
Are you good? The way you said that.
I'm like,
I want to talk about a mop.
Because everyone's probably so confused. Like, what are you talking about? A mop? You haven't brought a mop up to us. I don't think I did. So here's the thing is like when I read Amanda and Raffaele's book, they kept talking about how the night before they discovered Meredith's body, Raffaele's sink was like leaking or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he didn't have a mop. So they cleaned it up with like towels or something. And then Amanda tells him like, oh, don't worry. We have a mop at the house. I'll go get it for you in the morning and bring it back over so we can clean up this water, like fully.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. I've been watching the series.
Okay.
And the mop is in it.
So I kept being like, why do they keep talking about them getting this mop? Like, I was so confused by the books and stuff. I'm like, I don't understand it. Now I get it. Because basically what happened is when the two postal police who have Meredith's phones that they found in the neighbor's yard, when they come up to the house, I believe they are like holding the mop. Like Amanda and Raffaele they have the mop outside of the house. Mm-hmm. So this looks very suspicious because when you later find a dead body inside, what are you cleaning up? Okay. Oh. So I was like, oh my God, what the fuck were they cleaning up? What were they cleaning up? Because we're going to find out at the trial. One of the things that the prosecutors say is that Amanda and Raffaele, they cleaned up all of their DNA from the scene, but left Rudy Guede's. And so I'm like, what were they cleaning up? Okay, so I dived into this mop. And when I tell you it took me a long time to find, I'm like, they must have tested this mop or something. It took me forever to find, but I did find it. It is in the evidence inventory, and it's listed as item 168. Damn. Did I have to scan through the first 167 items to get to it? We will never know. Oh. But here's the thing. Nothing's found on this mop. Okay, there's no blood found on it. There's no DNA found on it. There is one blonde hair found on the mop that was 15 centimeters long. I believe this probably belonged to Amanda. Everybody talks about how she's blonde. I see pictures of her at the time. I would say she's brunette.
Yeah.
Like light brown, but everyone says blonde. Okay.
Can I just make it a point that I don't know, they showed up with the mop, correct? They were outside with the mop.
Yes.
Why, if they were cleaning it up, would they have the mop with them?
Really, what the thing is, so when Raffaele and Amanda tell the story, specifically I'm going to go into Raffaele's account, but Amanda's matches him at this point in time, their books, okay? Mm-hmm. Their story is they've now come back to the house. We talked about there's a lot of calls, like Amanda calling her mom. They're on the phone with Filomena. Well, eventually, once they see Filomena's room is like disturbed and everything, they're inside the house. Raffaele says he calls his sister, who's in the Carabinieri, and he's like, what do I do? And she says, go outside because if there's a robbery, this is a crime scene because, again, they have not found Meredith yet. If this is a crime scene because there's a burglary, you want to go outside because you don't want to disturb it and call the Carabinieri. And so he tells the story of like, okay, he gets off the phone with his sister. He goes outside and he calls. Basically, the dispatcher was like, hey, we're really busy right now. I'm going to need you to call back in a few minutes. And this does seem to be true because there are two calls within like, I think it's a minute and 40 seconds apart. Okay. So, or maybe it's a couple minutes, but he hangs up. He says he calls back a few minutes later. Then he says after he gets off the phone, those two postal police come up. Here's what's interesting, though, is those emergency calls were made from Raffaele's phone. The first one was at 12:51 p.m. and the second one was at 12:54 p.m. However, the records from the postal police, their report that they made about this whole situation, they estimated that they arrived at the house around 12:35 p.m. So 15 to 20 minutes before Raffaele made those calls. So the theory is they weren't about to call the police. They were still cleaning up the crime scene. And then those postal police came up and they thought, oh, this is going to look suspicious that there's obviously a broken window and glass everywhere and all of this. And we haven't called police yet. So then Raffaele steps aside and calls the police. That is the theory. I don't have much to counter this because this is an odd discrepancy. This seems suspicious to me, only because Raffaele and Amanda claimed that these calls were made before those postal police came up. Mm-hmm. To me, it would be less suspicious if he was just like, yeah, they came up and we were just like, hey, look at this. What is going on here? Yeah. And then we called the Carabinieri. I would be like, okay, that kind of makes sense to me. But this, it's like, well, why would you make that up? Why would you lie about what time you called them? I don't know why you would lie about what time you called them anyway, because they can get phone records. And I feel like that's got to be common knowledge. Like it shows it in your phone. So I don't know why you would lie about that. The only thing, if I'm being devil's advocate here, the only thing I can think of is that maybe the postal police were simply misestimating the time at which they arrived. Because they were at the neighbor's house first, getting the phones and all of that. So I don't know. Do they really know exactly what time they arrived after all of this, excitement? And I don't mean that in a positive way, but excitement went on and they discover Meredith's body. And then later in the day, they're asked to write down their timing and stuff. Is that exact? I don't know. Probably not exact to the minute, but also being 15 or 20 minutes off is kind of big.
Yeah.
So this to me is like a point against Amanda and Raffaele. I find this odd. But that's the whole thing about the mop is people are saying, well, they were caught cleaning up this crime scene, basically. However, there's no evidence that this mop was used to clean anything up in the crime scene.
It sounds like everything was just like working against them. Like there's no actual evidence, but it's like their actions are what made people were like, oh, this is so weird.
Right.
But then they were like, oh, well, we tested all this shit and nothing came up.
Right. And
but like, I don't know.
To me, it's like, I see it, if you think they're innocent, I'm putting my mindset of like the innocent cap is on my head right now. I see this as like one little thing, one little snowflake of, that's weird, looking at Amanda and Raffaele, that then slowly rolls down the hill and gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like a huge snow. It's just snowballing down this hill because Raffaele talks about in his book, when the postal police get there and they start looking around, because remember, they look around first before the Carabinieri get there. They are the ones that are with Raffaele, Filomena, her boyfriend, all of those people when they discover Meredith's body. Mm-hmm. But when they're looking around, they see in Filomena's room that some of the glass from the broken window is on top of the clothing that's strewn across the floor. And so they are already thinking that this is maybe a staged burglary. This is, again, before they discover the body. They're thinking this is a staged burglary, and some people say that that's like for like insurance purposes. Like you would pretend like your stuff was stolen, file an insurance claim, whatever. So Raffaele's theory is like, oh, Amanda and I were at the home. They get there. We have a mop in our hands. They now think this burglary is staged. So now they're looking at us like, is Amanda doing some weird insurance fraud?
Yeah.
Then they find a body. Well, now they've already been looking at us. So, and remember, one of the first people to tell Menini that Amanda and Raffaele were acting strange was one of these postal police. That they said as soon as we got there, they were acting strange. Oh. Which could be because they were acting strange. Yeah. I don't know. But you can see how now this little snowball has now transferred to Menini. And now
he's already got this like thing in his head, like, oh, these people are weird. I'm going to be looking at them harder.
Right. Now Menini's looking at the crime scene and looking at things through that lens. So it's just interesting to think about. But also, the glass on top of the clothes in Filomena's room is interesting because by all accounts, Filomena was pretty tidy. So I don't think those clothes were like strewn all over the floor like that. And the glass on top of the room would indicate that the clothes were strewn everywhere before the windows broke in. And some people say that this window was broken from the inside. Now, I studied this crime scene video, okay? These windows are not like windows you see in the US. They have shutters that actually open and close. And then the window panes, it's basically two window panes that physically open like shutters to the inside. And they are shattered. There's also like a second shutter on the inside. So like basically the window panes can have a shutter blocking the outside and a shutter blocking the inside. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the shutter on the inside, you can see a huge dent from the big rock that was thrown. Now, this could have still been done from the inside if you had the window panes open. And I did try to look at like the glass in the crime scene footage and the crime scene like photos because I'm trying to look, okay, well, how much of the glass is on top of the clothes? But unfortunately, it's like the cameras back then, you can't really tell. Because I'm like, is it a little bit? Because I feel like, well, maybe someone could have messed with the window after, moved it, and I don't know. It's just weird. But they're starting this investigation thinking like this is one of their first thoughts at this scene is that this burglary is faked. And I feel like we kind of talked about that a little bit already, but the glass is interesting. Now, another little bit of backtrack is one of the things that Meredith's, one of her British friends, and I'm just trying to leave these girls out of it because I'm sure that they don't like being involved in this debate their whole lives. Yeah. But she wrote a passage for Meredith's father's book. And in this passage, she writes, quote, Amanda's behavior was always a little strange. Even before November 2nd, she seemed to be the extravagant type. I remember that the first time we met, we were in a restaurant having a meal when all of a sudden she got up and started singing at the top of her voice. It was very strange and out of place, end quote. And I thought this was so interesting because we talked about, I think it was in part 1, how when Amanda first moved into the house, Meredith takes her out and the British friends don't really like her, but I didn't really have the details. And to me, not that this is a defense of any of her like offensive, inappropriate behavior, but like this is weird behavior.
Yeah.
It would be one thing if you're with your best friends, but like to go out to dinner with people you've never met before and you like presumably want them to like you and you just get up and start singing as loud as you can in the middle of a restaurant. Like my point here is that
a little off-putting.
Amanda's fucking weird, dude. Amanda's weird.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Even in this case, nothing wrong with that. She is, you know.
Nothing wrong with being weird, but like that's my point is I think some of this behavior, now I'm not saying this means she's innocent. I'm just saying that either way, I think some of this behavior after the murder that everybody talks about doesn't have as much to do with her being guilty or innocent and has more to do with her being fucking weird. Okay? And I love a weirdo. Okay?
Yeah.
I think that would make me laugh. That would have made me laugh. I'd been like, this girl's crazy. What is wrong? I keep seeing those TikTok comments that's like, I love whatever is wrong with you. That's how I feel about this. Like, I love, not, like, some people are going to twist that into like, whatever. But I'm just saying, someone's singing in a restaurant. It's just weird. Now, the other thing is right after the murder. So we talked a lot about how Amanda, you know, was confused about what was going on when they discovered Meredith's body because she couldn't see inside the room from where she was. She couldn't really understand the Italian, whatever. Well, then when they're all at the police station, Amanda's like telling the people who are coming in to get questioned, like Meredith's friends and the guys that live downstairs, that, oh yeah, we found her body. And so some people point at this of like, well, why are you lying? You didn't find her body. It was Philomena and the officers, whatever.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to Carvana. Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
You don't technically need this car. You say that out loud to yourself. You say, I have no space. You say, I'm just looking. Then you click. Then you zoom in on photo number 87 and whisper, oh no. Then you text a friend, the one who always enables you. You say to yourself, this is the last one, knowing it is not. You don't need this car. But maybe, just maybe, this car needs you. Bring a trailer. It's never just a car.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kann du Norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Ooh. Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
I think she likes the attention.
Yeah.
She also was telling friends back home, this was like shown in emails, that like, yeah, Raffaele and I found her body. And people are like, well, obviously they found her body first. I'm like, I don't know. I think to me it's presumable to say that she was in the house when her body was found. Would I put it that way? No. But I see why a 20-year-old girl who's kind of immature in a very odd situation and whatever, I could see why you're like inserting yourself more. You know what I mean? I don't know. She was right there.
Yeah.
But people are trying to take it as like, oh, they found the body before anyone got there.
Or what?
I think bragging, but also saying that when Philomena and the officers found the body, you know, Amanda and Raffaele had already seen it, is what people say online about this. Okay. I think that's a silly argument, I guess is my whole point about this. But it is also like, why are you bragging about it? I don't know. To each their own.
Interesting.
Now, there are also some conflicting statements. Like we went through a lot of Amanda and Raffaele's account, but according to John Kercher, he writes in his book, quote, "At first, Amanda claimed to have been at Sollecito's flat all evening on the night of the murder. Then Sollecito claimed that Amanda had left his place around 9 p.m. and didn't return until 1 a.m., during which time he had been on the internet. Amanda then changed her story to say that she had been at the cottage at the time that Meredith was killed," end quote. Now, we know that Raffaele had told the officers, okay, it was possible that Amanda left. I don't know where this time frame came from, if it was suggested by the officers and Raffaele agreed, like, yeah, I guess she could have left. Well, what were you doing during that time? Maybe I was on the internet. I don't know how this conversation went. Could have been like that, or it could have been like Raffaele was like, yes, Amanda left at 9 p.m. She came back at 1 a.m. and I was on the internet the whole time doing this, and she asked me to lie. This is the problem when the police don't fucking record these interviews. Okay? So if we want to blame someone about they need to get this stuff on record. Like, this is insanity. Who knows? This is just
word
what
of
the
mouth
police
is not reliable.
Who do we believe? And I know some people are going to be like, well, you believe the police, obviously. We're going to get to some shit that's really going to, like, irk you. If Manini wasn't enough. And I normally tend to trust the authorities, tend to trust the professionals, until you've proven that I shouldn't. And I feel like in this case, I'm less trustworthy of them.
They're on their way to proving it.
So the other thing I want to say is, like, he ends that statement by saying that she then changes her story to say that she was at the house at the time that Meredith was killed. What he's referencing here is when she eventually makes her confession saying that she saw Patrick Lumumba do this. Okay. So that's where he's saying, oh, she said she was at the cottage. Mm-hmm. So yes, there's conflicting things here. Can it all be explained away by them just mixing their nights up and not remembering well? I kind of think maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think that's impossible. Another passage from John that I found interesting, because to me, this kind of points to what we were saying about Amanda's confession. We talked a lot about, why she pointed at Patrick Lumumba. He wrote, quote, "Police were looking through her mobile phone at the police station, and when they showed her a text she had sent to Patrick earlier that evening, having previously denied doing so," pause quote. He says that because Amanda at first was like, I didn't text anyone. And then they show her phone and they're like, really?
And it was like, oh, you said you were going to see him later.
Right. So resume quote. She exclaimed, "Yes, it was him. He did it." Knox went on to say that Patrick and Meredith were in Meredith's room while I stayed in the kitchen. I can't remember how long they were together in the room, but I can only say that at a certain point, I heard Meredith screaming and I was so scared, so I covered my ears. After this, I don't remember if Meredith called out or if I heard thuds because I was upset, but I could imagine what was happening. End quote. So here's the thing is, he is saying very directly, and I assume that he got all of this information from police.
Yeah.
He is saying very directly that Amanda's like, oh, I don't know what happened. And then they say, well, you were texting Patrick. Look at this message from Patrick. And that's when Amanda said, okay, yes, it was Patrick. So that kind of goes to the points that we were discussing last time. Like, I think that's why she pointed at Patrick. Like, I really do.
Dude, if I was Patrick, I'd be fucking pissed.
Right. No, 100%. Because it's wrong. What she did was fucking wrong.
He was literally never
horrific.
there. Like, what the fuck?
But that's the thing is, like, people are like, well, why was she pointing at Patrick? People will say that Rudy Guede is a black man and Patrick Lumumba was the only other black man that Amanda knew in Perugia. And so she didn't want to say Rudy because Rudy did it. So then she points it at Patrick instead. And I'm like, I see the thought process behind that theory. And this is actually part of what Patrick Lumumba says, I believe. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's like, well, if she's confessing, why would she? I mean, I guess she's going to protect Rudy, but then she's not going to protect Raffaele. I don't know. I guess you could say she's protecting Rudy by pointing at Patrick, but I don't know. That just doesn't fully make sense to me. And the fact that they go straight from the text message and accusing her of meeting up with Patrick to her being like, it was Patrick. I don't know. Maybe it's both.
Yeah.
If she's guilty, it is probably both. She's like, perfect. That'll work. I don't know. But just really interesting. Now, so that's kind of my backtracking of just some context, some details that I felt like I missed that I wanted to add.
Okay.
But where we kind of left off at the end of part 2, before I went into my full-on mental breakdown, is Amanda and Raffaele have been imprisoned. Okay, they are now going to go, well, they're going to wait. They're in the investigation phase. They're going to wait almost a year before they go to like a pre-trial, basically. And you can read so much about their time in prison in their books. I found it really, really interesting. I would recommend their books. Again, I think read Meredith's father's book first. But they talk about their experiences with the other prisoners, their interactions with their family, meeting with their lawyers, how they're getting the news from the TV and finding about their own case from the TV, all of this stuff. But if I go into all that detail on their 4 years in prison, we're going to be on the story for like 4 years ourselves. Yes. So I'm going to give you just kind of a quick overview of stuff that pertains to the trials and the case. And then we're just kind of going to focus on the investigation rather than their experiences. That's their story. You can read their books. So Amanda and Raffaele were both considered famous as soon as they got to prison. They're all over the news. So this is like big news for the prisoners when they, the prisoners can watch the news. And so you see Amanda Knox walk in, you're like, holy shit balls, this is crazy.
That's her.
Now, this didn't necessarily make them popular in prison.
Anything doesn't that make them like a target?
The other prisoners kind of fucking hated them for it. Now, Amanda's theory is that it wasn't really the fame that bothered them. It wasn't that they were famous, but the fact that they knew that Amanda and Raffaele were not forgotten about. They weren't forgotten by the press. They weren't forgotten by the police. They weren't forgotten by their families because their families were constantly coming to visit. Like Amanda's stepdad worked remote and he ended up like moving to this shitty little apartment outside of the prison in Italy because her mom was a teacher and they just couldn't afford for her mom to like be going back and forth all the time. So like her stepdad would just be there and it's sad when you read about it. But, these prisoners were like, I think there was a lot of jealousy because people cared about Amanda and Raffaele. And it seemed like a lot of these prisoners, there was no one caring about what happened to them or their lives. Now, Amanda talks a lot about sexual harassment from her prison warden, who allegedly would call her into his office and ask her about her favorite sex positions and all of this like crazy fucked up stuff, like this old man.
Ew.
Like he would call her into the office, talk about random stuff, about her case, about whatever. And then he would just start like asking her just details about her sex life and all of this stuff. And her theory on this is that he was fishing, well, first of all, that he was maybe allegedly a pervert. And second of all, that he was fishing for information that the prosecutors could use against her. Oh. Now, when she first arrived at the prison, they took a blood test to check for like health conditions, all of that. That seems pretty standard, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And not long after she takes this blood test, they bring her in to an office and they're like, we just needed to let you know that you are HIV positive. Now, this is a lie. She was not HIV positive. And we do not know for certain. If you were to ask the prison, they're going to tell you that it was a false positive test. It was an accident. They're going to say that this was an accident. A lot of people who believe that this investigation was kind of fucked up believe that this was on purpose, that this was a purposeful lie.
I believe it.
And
allegedly.
Well, they start telling her, well, where could you get it from? You should probably start thinking about like your sexual partners, maybe make a list to figure out where you got it from. And so she does. And this is how we know about the 7 partners. And remember, some of these were not intercourse. At least one of them was not intercourse. I don't know the details on the others, but there were 7 partners that she thought maybe could have given her HIV. And so she writes about this in her diary. And in her diary, she writes about how scared she is because she doesn't want to die. She's like, who could have given this to me? I'm so scared. I'm in prison. They're not going to take care of me. What if it turns into AIDS and I die in here? Remember, she's 20 years old. And again, I don't know. Maybe it was a false positive. But if it wasn't, shame on those fucking people.
Yeah,
that is so fucked up. Okay? Now, she's writing about all of this in her prison diary. Well, how do we know that she wrote all of this? Because it's later confiscated and leaked to the press.
She is just writing everything down. Like, what? Didn't she learn from her fucking other diaries that she was writing in?
Emily, if I know one thing about Amanda Knox, it's that she has a hard time learning these lessons quickly. Yeah. Okay? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying,
I just saw something on TikTok that was like, fool me once, Shame on me. Fool me twice, it's fine. Fool me 3 times, you know, I'm probably gonna start looking at you a little suspicious. Fool me 4 times, you know, you could probably come back. You'll be okay. Fool me 5 times.
Well, you must have learned your lesson now, right? It's all good.
Nope.
I like that. I like that. So here's the thing. This is leaked to the press. And of course, it's leaked. And like the way that they run it is like Foxy Knoxy, so sex obsessed in prison. She has to write stories in her diary about her sexual exploits.
That's
like,
so embarrassing.
Dude, Amanda Knox, again.
Wait, do we think...
Anytime I say something about positive, just to forewarn, if I am saying something positive about Amanda Knox, I want you guys to understand. I'm saying it in the context of, I definitely feel way more certain that she's innocent. Like, could I tell you 1,000% she's innocent? No, I don't know. I was not there, okay? Obviously, this does not stand if she is a murderer. But like, I don't even remember what I was going to say. That's how much I know people are just going to rail into whatever I say. But
do we think that she was writing things knowing that they were... Because there's no fucking way that she was like, oh, this will be just for me.
I don't
because
know.
She liked the attention.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, because it's not helpful to her. I mean, it doesn't take long before she is like, oh, I might be in here for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's the time she's facing. Now, first few days, I think the first probably few weeks or even like first month or 2, she's hoping that it's all going to get cleared up.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know. What I was thinking is like, you know, they took away the one that she had been writing in the waiting room is like, well, they take away your stuff when you go to prison.
Yeah.
So I could see her being like, not realizing that they're going to take it away again. I don't know. But yeah, I think to me, the amount of like embarrassing shit that and I'm not like trying to lay into her, but like they keep talking about like the poop stains on the toilet and like all this sex stuff. Like I would have
crawl
a heart attack
into a hole and never show my face
and that's
ever
why
again.
If Amanda Knox is innocent, I respect her for being like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
We are going to get to some stuff she says about reclaiming her identity that, and if she is innocent, she totally deserves to reclaim her identity. We're going to get to that later. There is some of it that I was like, oh, okay, we'll get there. But yeah, okay, so she's writing this like list down. The police take it, they get this list of lovers. And just a couple days later, they come back in and they're like, hey, by the way, those results were a mistake and you don't actually have HIV. But I believe they did that without taking her blood again.
They said, oh, JK, Uno reverse. That was our bad. False positive.
So I don't know. Maybe it was a false positive and this just was an accident.
That is fucking crazy.
That seems crazy. And then like the police immediately know like within those first few days to go take her journal again, like her journal that she just got.
Yeah.
Weird.
Interesting.
Now, in the lead up to the preliminary hearing or the pre-trial, the press is bonker. It is losing its shit. It's never seen anything like this. If you watch the documentary on Netflix, there's this one fucking asshole, this British media guy, a British journalist. I say journalist with air quotes around it because this man, he literally,
loosely.
And this is not a direct quote. I'm going off the top of my head. I didn't write it down. He's literally telling the camera, he's like, oh, this story. I wish I could do a British accent so bad right now. But he's like, oh, this story, it had everything. Sex, drugs. Then this girl just gets butchered in her apartment. And oh my God. And who did it? This beautiful, young, sexy girl. And then she's got this boyfriend and they're obsessed with each other and blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
it's a drama.
He is smiling the whole time he's saying this. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
he's like, you couldn't ask for anything more in a story. That's what he said. He's hyped on this.
Sir,
I'm
this
like,
is real life.
Those are the people that I'm like, your story should come with a stamp at the top that say, warning, this is the type of person writing this. Like, what is wrong with you?
A disclaimer.
Like, and I know I'm not perfect. Don't get me wrong. But at least he gave no fucks about having any sort of decorum. At least I try to have some decorum.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't care. So the Italian press, hot on the case. The American press, hot on the case because of Amanda. British tabloid press, though, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Brits do not give a single fuck. They don't fact check anything. They make everything sound worse on purpose. This is what they do to the royal family.
That's why they need CCTV in every fucking corner because they're like, we gotta fact check this, man.
Pretty much their motto seemed to be like the juicier and the more horrific, the better, and fuck the truth. And sorry, a lot of F-bombs are going to be dropped this episode, guys. A lot of F-bombs, because I get worked up. Like, as I was adding stuff back in and rereading this stuff, I'm like, getting worked up. Now, journalists scoured Amanda's online history, including her MySpace page that she hadn't used in years.
Oh, MySpace.
They pulled photos from it. One being like this picture of Amanda behind like a machine. It's not even a machine gun. I don't know what it is. It's like a giant gun that like you're sitting down in a chair and she's making a face like as if she's shooting it. I don't know where this gun is. I cannot believe that this is something that you would be able to have in your home, but this is America, so who fucking knows? In my opinion, it looks like she's in a museum or like this is not a usable working gun.
Yeah.
But they blast it like she's a psychopath. Look at her smiling and laughing while she shoots this crazy gun. Most notably, though, from scouring the internet, they pulled the name that she had used on her MySpace profile, the profile she had abandoned years prior.
Was it Foxy Knoxy?
It was Foxy Knoxy.
Yep.
Now, this nickname, by the way, had been given to her by her elementary school soccer coach because she was quick like a fox.
Oh. That's not where my mind was going.
I agree.
And I was like, that's disgusting.
I agree. Like, I don't know that I would call... This is just one story I read. Amanda says in her book that people called her Foxy Knoxy because she was quick like a fox, and it was a soccer nickname. She doesn't specify that the coach gave it to her. I don't know where I read that, but I read that elsewhere. I don't know.
Oh. I feel like it's weird.
I was picturing a guy.
Yeah, me too. That's why I was like, that's gross. But if it was a girl, then I can see, I guess.
Well, the point is, it's a soccer nickname from when she was young because she was quick like a fox, and I didn't read anything about any coaches being creepy.
Okay.
But this nickname stuck with her all throughout high school, always soccer related. And of course, the media is like using it to paint her as this femme fatale, a woman so beautiful and so sensual that she could get a man to kill for her. And one particularly provocative headline from the New York Times recounted how a Perugia paper labeled her, quote, from top-notch student to cold-blooded man-eater, end quote. Like,
they're really digging deep on that.
Okay, so even after Rudy Guede is arrested, the media focuses on Amanda. This comes from all sides. Meredith's father talks about this in his book. He's like, media didn't give a shit about Meredith. They didn't give a shit about Rudy, and they did not give a shit about Raffaele. Mm-hmm. Everything was about Amanda specifically. So when that question comes up of like, why is Amanda the focus? I want everyone to be asking, even if you think she's guilty, who's to blame for Amanda being the focus of this case?
Society? I don't know.
Especially if she's innocent, but even if she's guilty, why was the focus not on Meredith? My theory, and this is just a theory, this is an opinion, not a fact, is this started with the police and the media carried it out. Mm-hmm. The police are like your boss making a business plan, and then the media was like the people carrying it out. Mm-hmm. Because the police have these wild theories about like this was, group sex, Satan thing gone wrong, then it's being leaked, and the police are leaking shit to the press. Now, I don't know if leaking is the right term because maybe they're allowed to release whatever they want. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that I'm not accusing them of doing anything illegal. But they are for sure, like I feel so certain about saying they're giving shit to the press to turn public opinion against Amanda Knox.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, yeah.
100%. They're controlling the narrative to have it biased against Amanda Knox, which if you believe she's a fucking brutal murderer, you think you're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But this is something that I think starts with the police and it goes to the media. And now it's gotten to the point where it's like, you have to talk about Amanda.
Yeah.
You can't tell this story properly without focusing on Amanda the majority of the time. And it's unfortunate. And yeah. Now, in the media, so while Amanda's she has this magic vagina that people will kill for, Raffaele is painted as this sad, sexually inexperienced, kind of like 40-year-old virgin, dorky guy who was so taken with Amanda that he would just do anything for her. And in his book, Raffaele explains that while in prison, he realized that no one gave a fuck about him. Not the police, not the press. They didn't care if he was guilty or innocent. They cared about Amanda being found guilty. And Amanda could not be found guilty if Raffaele was not guilty too, because Raffaele is saying that Amanda was with him all night. Mm-hmm. And if he's innocent and Amanda's with him, then it made more sense that Rudy acted alone.
It's Wednesday Addams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday Season 2 is now playing, only on Netflix.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
It's back to school season, and Clorox is donating 2 million disinfecting wipes to classrooms across America. Because back to school means things can get a little bit messy. Just ask kindergarten teacher Miss Gibson.
Give me just one Clorox wipe and I'm ready for glitter glue, exploded lunchbox yogurt, peanut butter handprints, runny noses, picking noses, rubbing noses.
Touching noses.
Thank you, Edward. Ooh, nap mats and lockers and tissue boxes. And
Clorox
scissors.
disinfecting wipes. Teacher's #1 wipe. Clean feels good. Based on unit sales data.
Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Xyzal is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Xyzal keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all. Take Xyzal. At night.
And he talks about in the book how even his family was like, why are you standing by her? And he keeps saying, because this is the truth. Because she was with me. And his family.
Oh, yeah.
His family's trying to get him to be like, well, maybe you don't have to say that she asked you to lie or not, whatever. And they're trying to be like, why are you're going to go down with her. Stop going down with her. And he's like, what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah, am I supposed to lie to save my ass? Or like,
Because I bet if he went to the police and was like, I'll say whatever you want me to say. I don't know. I don't want to say too much.
I like Raffaele more and more every time. Every little detail I hear about this man, I'm like, damn, what a great guy.
If he's innocent.
Whoever's shit is in the toilet, it did it. No, I don't think that he did this.
Well, remember, the theory is that it was him, Amanda, and Rudy, the three of them together.
Evidence, no motive, whatever.
Yeah, but, well, the motive is sex, and Raffaele's motive is he's so obsessed with Amanda and all of this stuff. But yeah, it's just interesting. And this is why his book is called Honor Bound. It's called Honor Bound, My Journey to Hell and Back with Amanda Knox. And his whole thing was like, I could have probably gotten out of this or like gotten off so easy and sent Amanda to prison for 30 years and saved myself. And he did. By lying, and I decided not to. That's what he says, okay?
And that is an honorable fucking man if I've ever seen one in my entire life.
Now, on top of the fact that the press wasn't talking about anyone really except Amanda, and they're not really talking much about Meredith, they're kind of just using Meredith. They're bringing up Meredith when they're comparing her to Amanda. Like, they're using Meredith as this antithesis to Amanda. And this is another thing that I feel like started with the police. I hear Mignini talking about this. Like, they say that Amanda's this evil, man-eating, like, whatever. And Meredith is kind of this perfectly behaved, classy young woman, which is true. She was a very well-behaved, like very classy young woman. But like Meredith still liked to have fun. Meredith still, she dated boys and she was seeing Giacomo. But like they paint Meredith like the Virgin Mary and Amanda's like Mary Magdalene. Like that's like what
the polar opposites.
Yeah, it's like polar opposites. And it's like, well, Amanda was so jealous of Meredith that she had to kill Meredith because Meredith was everything Amanda wanted to be and all of these things, which Meredith was the type of person I would like to be more like. I'm sure a lot of people felt that way about Meredith. Like, I want to be more like Meredith. But that's what's sad is like that's how they're bringing her up, is only to compare her to Amanda. And Amanda points out in her book, like, look, they're calling me a whore for sleeping with Raffaele or whoever. But it's like, we were young girls and like Meredith was doing the same thing too. And the point is there's nothing wrong with it. There was nothing wrong with it. Now, it was also obvious that police were constantly leaking info to the press, like I said. It was through the media that Amanda and Raffaele learned that a knife had been collected from Raffaele's apartment. And the investigators claimed that this knife was the murder weapon. Apparently, on this knife, they found DNA from Amanda, from Raffaele, and from Meredith. This is at Raffaele's apartment.
Okay.
Not at Meredith's apartment.
Were they actually investigating, or were they... Maybe it's... What is this actual evidence?
We'll get to it because I'm trying to tell you what they know at this time, and then we'll get to it later. Because I want you to go on this roller coaster of like, as the evidence is coming out. Because the reason I'm doing that is because, spoiler, they get convicted, they get acquitted, they get convicted again, and then they get acquitted again. So I'm trying to help everyone understand how that happened. And this is a part of it, is because once this hits the news, they're like, found the murder weapon with both of their DNA and the victim's DNA. Case closed.
Yeah, they're like, there it is.
Case closed. And Rudy's DNA was, all over the crime scene. So it was the three of them. Case closed, right? Okay. That's what we know right now. And Amanda and Raffaele are seeing this on the news while they're in prison. And they're like, impossible. How could that have happened? They're like, that's not possible. Meredith had never been to Raffaele's.
Yeah.
And while, Amanda and Raffaele had cooked at her house before, like, it's not like they brought the knife from his house.
It's not like his favorite knife. They didn't bring it with him.
Now, also in Raffaele's apartment, they found these like comic books, basically. Like because he's a freaking nerd, okay? He collected comic books.
Okay.
And
he collects things. Oh
and these aren't like children's comic books. They're like manga and like anime and like I don't know if you guys have nerdy friends. Like they're like adult comic books, but not like adult like pornographic. They're just like adult, whatever. So here's the thing is one of these comic books found showed graphic scenes of like female vampires, which they're like sexy, which every female in an anime or manga thing is for adults. Like they're always like hypersexual.
Big tits, big ass, and yeah.
So in this specific comic book, it's like female vampires being killed. Okay. And it's because they're vampires. So this is like I don't know if it's book? By werewolves or by what's killing them. But this, of course, was not lost on Menini, who liked to point out that the night before the murder, Meredith was dressed as a vampire for Halloween. And if you remember in his whole, like, maybe this was a satanic ritual thing, that he thought they had planned to do it on Halloween. And then because Meredith was out with her friends, they had to move it to the next day. And he's saying, well, look at this comic book where these sexy vampires are murdered on Halloween.
This guy has got to have some go-go gadget arms for how far he's reaching with all this shit. Because, like, this guy is, like, he's sending me.
I agree, but, like, he's not the only one. Like,
is it the same thing as, like, the investigators to the media? Like, he's pointing this out and they're like, oh, well, that I could see a little bit how that is, you know?
And by the way, like, Menini is kind of the figurehead, but, like, I'm sure that there are other investigators that are participating in this, being like, well, Menini, look at this. Like, maybe this is what happened and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I agree. No, I think this is then disseminated to the press, and the press, they eat this up.
I was going to say.
They eat it up. Now, according to Raffaele, he claims that this set of comic books was a gift from a friend, and he's like, I never even opened those. Like, because he collected them.
The way I would just look at him and be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's a comic book. Like, seriously? It's not that serious. It's just a comic book.
And it's such a stretch to be like, and this is why, like, how would they know?
That's a stretch. The fucking satanic ritual was a stretch. Like, what? I give him props for the imagination, but man, he needs to slow it down.
Menini's an interesting guy.
Yeah,
now,
I can tell.
This is also while they're in prison over these, I think it's 10 months before they go to the pre-trial.
Oh, so they're just in prison for 10 months? That's a long time.
Holy shit. And they're not even indicted for these crimes yet.
That's crazy.
So it also comes out on the news that there were footprints, bloody footprints found that matched Amanda and Raffaele in Meredith's blood. Okay? We're going to talk a lot about that knife. We're going to talk a lot about these footprints. Again, I'm giving you the information that they had at this time.
Okay.
So it comes out on the news that they have found Amanda and Raffaele's footprints in Meredith's blood in the house. Again, Amanda and Raffaele are like, what the that is impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. There is no way. And The thing is, like, the ones that they said were Amanda's. So we're going to talk separately about Raffaele's. There's one in particular about Raffaele's. But for Amanda's, none of them were, like, you couldn't see it with your naked eye, these footprints.
Okay.
It was exposed with luminol. Now, luminol, it doesn't just illuminate blood. I did not know this.
Oh.
Luminol illuminates blood, but it also illuminates saliva and urine, anything that contains copper or iron, which most bodily fluids do. So it's not necessarily DNA, but it's
like
a lot of bodily fluids.
Yeah.
Are going to glow in luminol. I'm pretty sure that like sperm glows in luminol too. And I know that because there was an episode of Inside Edition when they went to hotel rooms and they luminoled the beds and had a black light, and you don't want to know, guys. You'll never sleep in a hotel room again.
Gross.
But so all of her footprints were illuminated with luminol. But here's the thing about these footprints is the prosecutors are basically going to say that these footprints could be compatible with Amanda Knox's footprints. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on about, what that really means. But the most important thing I want you to know is that they do not swab the area where these footprints are and test for blood. So even though these are glowing in luminol, and when you see pictures of the footprints, we'll put them on Instagram, you'll see like whatever they're stepping in, it seems to be like there's a lot of it. Like it's covering the whole foot, but they never test it for blood. So this is always talked about like these are Amanda Knox's bloody footprints, but they never tested them for blood, and they cannot say definitively that they came from Amanda Knox. Later at trial, they talk about these footprints. And while in the media, they're saying these footprints were matched to Amanda and Raffaele. Well, at trial, they have experts testify. And the experts say that these footprints were compatible with Amanda and Raffaele. So they were not matched to them. This is not like a print.
First they said it was bloody footprints, and then they were like, oh, well, they might be theirs. But they also might not be blood.
This is the thing. And this is how the media twists everything. The media is reporting this like bloody footprints matched to, or like,
oh, okay, so it was the media, not the investigators saying, oh,
well,
found bloody
the
footprints.
investigators are the ones that told them that it's all cement. Like the investigators are telling them that their footprints were in the house, and that it was illuminated with luminol.
Right. And they're giving them just enough for them to run with it and create their own fucking narrative.
And then the press is like, they go off the rails, which I don't blame, honestly, for this one. I'm like, I didn't know that luminol lit up all this other stuff. Like I knew that it did like semen and blood, but like I didn't know that it was like anything with copper or iron. Like luminol lights up copper and iron. It's not blood itself. It's because there's iron in blood. That's why it lights up with luminol. So then the press just assumes it's blood. So because there's also pictures of bloody footprints and bloody shoe prints at the scene that are out. But those ones, spoiler, belong to Rudy Guede. Now, there is one that we're going to talk about that they're going to say belongs to Raffaele, and we'll talk about it. But the point is, at trial, these are presented, and the experts say they are compatible with. We're going to talk to some of the legal experts that I'm really excited to interview for the show about expert testimony, because expert testimony is super interesting, and you need to be picking it apart like with a fine-tooth comb. They're saying compatible with because they do not have a conclusive match, and they cannot say for certain that these belong to Amanda or Raffaele. And I bet you right now, if they took our footprints, mine and Emily's, they'd be like, yes, those are compatible with the ones that are also compatible with Amanda Knox's, because we have probably similar size feet. Now, like I said, there are bloody footprints and there are bloody shoe prints. And these bloody shoe prints that did not need luminol to be revealed, these are blood, like
visible.
Red, visible. These are attributed to Rudy Guede. Now, there is a while Raffaele's in prison that they're trying to say that it was from Raffaele's shoes. And his whole family was searching for this sneaker pattern all across the country for months. And eventually they found this pair of sneakers, and it was later discovered that Rudy Guede owned this sneaker type.
Okay.
Long story short. So this is all presented at that pre-trial now. We know some of this evidence. That's kind of the basis of what they're going off of when it comes to physical evidence. Then, of course, they're going to talk about Amanda is she-devil, whatever. When this is all brought up, all of these shoe prints, the defense starts countering the luminol prints. They're like, well, were those made in blood? And if they hadn't tested those luminol swabs or blood. So they don't know if it's blood or not. Iron-rich or copper-rich fluids. We talked about there's a lot of bodily fluids, whatever. Plant fluids can also, like, I don't know what plant fluids means, but I think if you, like, I'm picturing you cut up a leaf or maybe an aloe vera plant, like, which is, I'm not saying that that's what this was. Plant fluids will light up in luminol.
I feel like my entire apartment would be glow in the dark.
Yes, rust will light up with luminol. And the prosecution's expert, Rinaldi himself, acknowledged during cross-examination that these footprints might not be from bloodstains.
Okay.
So they're like, we didn't even test that these were from bloodstains, okay? So the prosecution is arguing that all of these footprints are compatible with Knox and Sollecito. Now, once they have to admit that they're not sure that the luminol footprints were actually made with blood, they kind of stick to one footprint. Because we know the shoe prints are from Rudy Guede, but there's one bare footprint, and that is in the bathroom, that is on the shower rug, okay?
Okay.
This footprint is the one that I was talking about, like when Amanda first went into the house to go shower, and it's about the size of an orange. Like,
so this is the visible bloody footprint.
This is the visible bloody footprint that is on the bathroom rug. It is about half of a footprint, the heels not included, like the heels off the edge of the rug.
Yeah.
And you cannot see any of the toes except the big toe. So it's just the top of the foot and the big toe, like a little circle. From afar, again, when you first look at it, you don't immediately know that it's a footprint until you look a little bit closer, is my impression of this.
Okay.
And the prosecution is trying to say that this footprint belongs to Raffaele because all of the shoe prints, they're saying, okay, those are Rudy's. We admit that. But this footprint is compatible with Raffaele Sollecito. And they're arguing this in this pretrial. And at this point, I think what the defense can argue back is kind of limited.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really have all of the information. They can't do their own analysis of this print yet, to my understanding. And basically, the prosecution's expert says that this print, it matches Sollecito's shoe size, and it can't be Rudy Guede's because it's too small. And Rudy has bigger feet, and that does not match this footprint, okay?
Okay.
Just something to note. This is very against Knox and Sollecito. If he left this bloody footprint, then he had to be walking around barefoot in Meredith's blood, okay? Now, right before the pretrial, a photo was released to the press of Amanda and Meredith's bathroom, their bloody, bloody bathroom. And it is, let me just show Emily the photo before I provide context. And guys, I'm going to post these on the Instagram because I found a source that will allow me to post them. Now remember, this is the bathroom that Amanda went home to shower in, and she says, like, she didn't really notice the blood at first, and then she took a shower. And this is the photo that is released to the public of this bathroom before the pretrial. Emily,
holy shit. That's a lot of blood.
Would you shower in that?
No.
That's suspicious as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Can you describe it a little bit? We'll post it on Instagram at A Trial by Podcast.
There is blood literally in every corner of this bathroom, all over the sink, all over the walls, all over the whatever the fuck is next to the bidet, on the bidet. There's a lot of blood.
And it's suspicious, right? Because Amanda says that she didn't really notice the blood except a little bit on the sink.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, what the fuck? That's a lot of blood, yeah.
So what do you think now? Like, do you think Amanda's a fucking liar?
Yeah.
Like, that seems like a made up story, right? How could you not see that blood fucking covering the bathroom?
Yeah, is this the same bathroom?
Well, Emily, here's the thing. That photo was taken after the police processed the scene.
What?
And what you see in that photo is not blood.
So I couldn't find exactly the name of this chemical, like talked about in regards to this case in particular. However, I did find something about this chemical that turns pink that I am assuming has to be what they used in this case. However, like I said, when I read articles about it in regards to this case in this bathroom in particular, they don't say the name of this chemical. They just explain that, it turns pink after a while, whatever. So basically, there's this test called the Kastle-Meyer test. It's Kastle with a K. And it uses a colorless chemical called phenolphthalein. And I don't know if I said that right. I'm doing my best out here, guys. But there's a PHTH all in a row, which is crazy talk to me. But basically, phenolphthalein in the presence of hemoglobin and hydrogen peroxide oxidizes and results in this bright pink color. And so that's what's happening in this bathroom. And that's the thing. That's why after hours of leaving it out, it oxidizes anyway and turns pink anyway. So basically, from my very, very limited and possibly wrong impression of like what I've read about this, is you spray this stuff on, and if there is blood present, because of the hemoglobin, it will immediately turn pink or within minutes, like very quickly. However, when you just leave it out for hours, everything turns pink. It all turns pink because it all oxidizes over time. The weird thing is, though, is that I also read that this test is typically done on a swab in the lab, and it's not sprayed everywhere. So that's why I'm saying I'm not 100% certain that this is what is used in this photo, because I can't find them saying, okay, in this bathroom, in this case in particular, this is the test that they used. However, it seems like from what I'm reading, it has to be the same thing. I don't know. I don't know why they would spray it everywhere if it's normally just done on swabs. I think this is like if they're trying to test to see if blood is present somewhere, they would swab the area and then they would do the Kastle-Meyer test. So I'm not 100% sure. If anyone knows or if I got anything wrong here, let me know, because I do find this very, very interesting, whatever it was that they sprayed everywhere here.
It's like scrubbing bubbles, you know? Goes on clear, turns purple.
So it's clear when it's sprayed, and if there's blood detected, it will turn pink. However, if you leave it for after a few hours, all of it turns pink because it's about the chemical oxidizing. But so after a while, it all oxidizes.
Yeah.
So I just sent Emily the picture of the bathroom before they sprayed that chemical. What do you think about that?
This was with the rug with the
That's
blood
the
stain.
rug. That's the bloody rug.
Okay. Yeah, it looks fucking spotless.
I would not even think twice about showering in that bathroom.
The color difference between the sink is kind of crazy.
Now, just to make sure it's clear to everybody, when you put the photos side by side, the first one I showed Emily, it looks like this bathroom is a fucking bloodbath. It is covered in blood.
Like a massacre happened.
It looks like a massacre. That is after they sprayed this chemical and left it out for hours, and it all turns pink. That is the chemical that they sprayed.
It definitely does. Like when you say that, I'm like, oh, why is it so like bright?
Pink. Yes.
Yeah.
You realize it's not blood.
Yeah.
But when you first look at that, okay, this is what's leaked to the media.
Everyone
is like, oh, Amanda Knox is a fucking liar. No one would shower in that bathroom and think nothing was wrong.
Yeah, no.
But if you look at the other photo that was taken before they sprayed this chemical, you see, again, there's this blue rug. Do you see what I'm saying about it looks a little bit brown? Which, again, maybe didn't look like that way when like Amanda took her shower.
The blood spot?
The blood spot.
Yeah, I can see it. But
do you see what I'm saying about, like, it doesn't even really look like a footprint. And even if you realize it was blood, it would not be that concerning. It is not that much blood.
Well, and it's like a small bathroom. I'm not looking down. I'm looking at the shower to like walk into it. You know what I'm saying? Like she lived there. I wouldn't be watching where I'm like walking. And that's a small enough stain to like not notice it from like eye level.
I would never notice that.
Yeah.
Like
same. It looks like it could be a shadow from something.
To me, this bathroom, her showering in this bathroom, not being alarmed by the blood in it, to me, not at all in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. It does not. Even once you notice the blood, when you see the pictures of the blood in the sink.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original. Which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
Empower. Tim collects bobbleheads. A lot of bobbleheads. Baseball bobbleheads, race car bobbleheads, little chihuahua bobbleheads. He's got an entire room strictly for bobbleheads. Does he need them? No. Is his wife mad about it? A little, but Tim works with Empower, and he got good at money, so he can be a little bad. Ooh, horse bobblehead. Classy, Tim. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
It's like a little bit around the drain, and then there's a little bit on the faucet, and you're like, someone cut themselves or something. Like, it is not a lot of blood at all. And here's the thing. I'm watching the crime scene video because I want to see some of this stuff. And while I'm looking for the crime scene video, I find a video recreation that's from like, I think 12 or 15 years ago. And I found a recreation of that bathroom. And by the way, this whole thing is like, it just shows Amanda Knox doing the murder and whatever. So it's completely one-sided.
Yeah.
But look, I just took a screenshot just for funsies. Look at this recreation of the bathroom.
Oh my God.
It's just covered in blood. Like, it's like an animated thing and there's just blood everywhere. And
who
it's
the
like,
fuck, first of all, leaked that picture? My bet is Amanini, but
I don't know. No one knows. But that's the thing is that bloodied bathroom, it looks like a bloodbath. Of course everybody thinks she's guilty.
I would be like, damn, that's crazy. Because at first I was like, holy shit, was this before or after? Because it had me thinking too. I'm like, I thought there was only like 2 drops of blood.
Dude, that's what I'm saying is like, if that was what the bathroom was, I'd be like, case closed. She did it.
Yeah, I'd be going
like,
down saying, oh yeah, that bitch did it.
But this whole thing is like, this is what I'm saying, guys, is like, even if that was accidentally leaked to the press and this all was an accident, the fact that the investigators didn't come out and immediately rectify and clarify that situation.
They didn't. They weren't even like, oh no, this is a cleaning solution.
Here's the thing is, I don't know.
To be honest, the way that they are acting, I find it very hard to believe that they were like, oops, our bad.
Maybe they did, but was it that day? Was it 2 days later? Was it 2 weeks later? Was it 2 years later? Like when, I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that's like, it's really impossible to get a overall picture when there's 10 million Google hits when you Google Amanda Knox.
Yeah.
But like, the thing is like people thought that that's what the bathroom looked like. So much so that animation artists in 2008 maybe were making animations showing the bathroom covered in blood. That's what the public
Well, if they were doing it, then
was.
they must not have come out and said, oh, this is not.
That's
like, why
what
would they
I don't
be
know.
making
Or
all this shit? No.
And once it's reported and it spreads like wildfire like that, it's like, how do you know for sure that people who aren't like purposefully keeping up with the case are going to see that you've corrected it? And it's just crazy. But like, that is the kind of stuff that you're like, it just seems like no one gave a fuck about what the truth was.
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's giving like they thought that they had their easy case because they had Raffaele and Amanda. And then, surprise, it's Rudy's shit in the toilet and his evidence all over the apartment. And they're like, oh, well, we already pointed our fingers at these two. So now we can't be like, that's embarrassing for us. If we're like, oops, sorry, we take it back. We didn't really think it was them. But now they're just like, oh, now we have to prove it was them because they're acting weird. And like, we already pointed all these fingers at them.
I think that's completely possible. I guess I think maybe I just am too naive, but part of me wants to believe that they just really believed in their gut that Amanda and Raffaele were guilty. And so they were twisting evidence, but they thought they were doing it to point to the right people and that they were doing it because they didn't have enough evidence. So they had to twist stuff a little bit.
Yeah, but that's fucked up. That's not
Exactly.
doing your job.
I'm not defending them, but I'm saying I like to believe that they weren't just like, we're gonna frame
these
innocent
two young
people.
kids. Yeah.
And I don't, that's hard for me to believe that they were just going to frame these two innocent people for no reason besides being right. But I mean, it's possible. But I feel like they are so invested and they truly believe that they're trying to get justice for this girl who was murdered. And that's why I think this is such an important case, because if that's what they were doing and they believed the whole time that they were doing the right thing, that's almost scarier to me, because you could see how almost anyone could do that. If you saw Meredith's body and you saw what was done to her, I could see anyone being caught up in their emotions so much that they're going to do anything to convict the people who they believe did this to her. And I get that emotion, but that's almost scarier than just thinking, oh, these are just a couple fucking bad apples who are evil and wanted to frame innocent people. You know what I mean? Because you're like, those are few and far between. But I think these people who get so caught up that they'll do anything to convict the bad guy, to take down who they think is the bad guy, that's scary to me.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's why I'm like, I would get it if Rudy was not, if they didn't have any evidence against Rudy, then yes, I would believe them like going so hard against Raffaele and Amanda. But like They already have Rudy, and they have all this evidence that says that it was him. But then they're like, oh, no, that's not good enough. Like, it had to have been somebody else, too.
To me,
but they have no evidence.
It's the
like,
dichotomy between how much they have against Rudy and how little physical evidence they have against.
That's why I'm like, why couldn't you just leave it at to your point where they were like, they truly believed that they were like doing justice for Meredith, and I don't believe that. I think that they were just.
But I think it's their internal biases. Like, I think it's because they started looking at them weird.
Not one person's like, oh, this is kind of fucked up. Like, maybe we should take a chill pill on these two
Honestly,
people.
you're right. That's a really good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they already had
people,
Rudy. Why are they still going so hard for these two?
But that's the thing about a lot of this evidence is like, I think at first, the investigators say what this evidence is. And when you don't have the context, like I've given you the context now of like, okay, these footprints, I think you guys get the vibe. I'm telling you they're kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff about the footprints doesn't come out. They talk a little bit about it in the pre-trial, then the first trial. Then they go do an in-depth analysis like the defense does for the second trial, I believe. And that's when that really becomes apparent that these are bullshit. But if you just hear at first, before they go into this pre-trial, that their bloody footprints were found, you're like, sounds like they did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It goes back to those investigators, and I don't know how many investigators. I don't know if it's 5. I don't know if it's 10. But it's like, you need to be doing your due diligence and figuring this shit out.
Like, it's your fucking job.
I feel like they get this evidence, and they go up until the point where they're like, this is enough to say that maybe this points to Amanda and Raffaele. And then they stop there just in case it doesn't point to them.
Right.
And that's where, to me, that is so wrong. You have to take it all the way possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, there was a dried semen stain on the pillow underneath Meredith's body.
Mm-hmm.
And they never tested this semen stain.
Like, what the fuck? Come on, guys.
And here's my thing is, what if it belonged to Raffaele?
Right.
But I think their thing is what if it does? And that's why they didn't want to test it. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying is that they didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is crazy. And like those pictures of the bathroom, I'm going to post them. Like,
yeah, that is fucking crazy.
This shit will blow your mind, guys. Like, it really is crazy. Why did the police even take a photo of all that pink shit after it was like, I don't know. It's just weird.
Probably the same person that leaked it to the press.
Now, lastly, it was through the news also, because a lot of, like I said, a lot of this is coming out in the news while they're waiting for the pretrial. And then I keep going into the pretrial because I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so sorry. But like, it was through the news that they find out that Raffaele's DNA is found on Meredith's bra clasp.
Okay.
Now, Raffaele, again, is like, how the fuck? This is impossible.
Yeah, like, no way.
And I think I mentioned this before, but this is at like one point, his father does an interview and he's asked about this. And his father's like, well, maybe Amanda borrowed Meredith's bra one day. And he's just trying to like guess how the fuck, because they're being told his DNA's on there and they don't know anything about the fact that it took 46 days for them to collect this. And they don't know how it got there. So he's speculating publicly. And this, of course, is used against him of like, oh, this is, the media says Raffaele is trying to lie and say, and people who knew Meredith are like, no, she would never let someone else borrow her bra and whatever. But again, just remember, and I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. 46 days, okay? It's 46 days before they collected this. Some sources say 47.
Is there no like cutoff to when evidence can be used?
Emily, that's one of my questions I'm going to ask for those legal experts, because I'm like, how the fuck? And the fact that we'll get to how this was found. It's found in a different area than where it's seen on the crime scene video.
This is the clasp that was like, it was like clean cut right off of.
It was cut, yes, with a knife off of her bra.
Okay.
It is this whole bra clasp thing. I have thoughts and feelings about this, and the fact that it wasn't collected. In my mind, if this was collected day 1 or even day 2, I'll give them day 2, first 3 days, I'm okay with that. If this was collected in the first few days and this had Raffaele's DNA on it, I would say I think he did it.
Yeah. I mean, even 2 weeks is a stretch, but that I believe it. 46 days is a little ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But at this time, you can see how they're leading up to this pretrial and shit is mounting against them. They're saying they've got bloody footprints. They've got this DNA on the knife.
Is it really though? Because
that's at the time it was. It was
Okay.
mounting evidence. It seemed like everybody knew that they were guilty. That was the consensus.
Okay.
Because there's so much physical evidence against them. That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Now, originally, prosecutors planned to try Rudy, Amanda, and Raffaele all together. However, Rudy opted for a fast-track trial instead. So basically what this is normally in the Italian justice system, you do this pretrial and the judge is then going to decide if you have to go to trial or not. When you opt for the fast-track trial, you basically do the same thing as the pretrial, so your rights are limited. But if you're convicted, you get a reduced sentence because basically the state's going to have to spend less money convicting you, less time and money and energy convicting you.
Okay.
So Rudy Guede decides he's going to do this fast track trial. So this pre-trial that we're talking about,
he's fucking guilty. That's why he's going to.
This is Amanda and Raffaele's pre-trial, but it's also Rudy Guede's full trial.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay. When Rudy was asked if anyone else helped him or if Raffaele, did you talk about that yet?
You're reading my fucking mind.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I love it.
I couldn't remember if you said that or not, if they asked him if they had anything to do with it, and if he was like, yeah.
So remember, Rudy had fled the country, and they had his friends Skype him, and they're listening in, and he does not know that they're listening.
Mhm.
And the friend asks him, tell me what happened, like about this murder or whatever.
Yeah.
And he says he sees this brown-haired Italian man, no glasses, killing Meredith. He says, very explicitly, Amanda Knox was not there. He doesn't know Raffaele, so he doesn't, presumably
He wasn't
doesn't
like
know.
describing
So
him.
he doesn't say Raffaele wasn't there.
Yeah.
But he says, like, he saw Raffaele's picture all over the news, and he makes it a point to say to his friend that this brown-haired Italian man that he saw did not have glasses. And, like, Raffaele has those very memorable
Harry Potter
circle,
glasses.
glasses. So, and he says Patrick, he's like, he doesn't even know Patrick Lumumba, which, because obviously Patrick's not.
Doesn't have anything to do with this at all.
So that's what he says to his friend. Now, before Rudy goes to trial, Mignini goes to talk to him.
Oh, Jesus, this guy again.
And remember, Rudy has taken this fast-track trial because it is going to give him the opportunity for a shorter sentence.
And you know why? Because he's fucking guilty and he knows.
Yeah, and because there's a billion pieces of evidence against him. And so Mignini goes to talk to him. And this time, he tells pretty much the same story that he told his friend and the same story that he originally told police, saying that there's this brown-haired Italian guy with no glasses who killed Meredith, whatever. So he's telling the same story for the third time, except this time it's not a brown-haired Italian guy with no glasses. This time it is Amanda and Raffaele.
Oh, Jesus.
Of course, Amanda and Raffaele hear this and they're like,
what the fuck?
Now, I wish I could tell you what the theory was that was kind of posed at Rudy's trial, but like some of the stuff about Rudy is closed off to the media. Like media weren't allowed to be in when they were talking about Rudy. I don't really know.
Oh, but they were
how
allowed
this
to be in
works.
there when they were talking about Raffaele and Amanda?
Because like part of their trials are together, but part is separate because he's on this fast track trial and they're just on the pre-trial. It is all very confusing to me because I don't understand this justice system. We don't know that much about like what prosecutors say exactly happened and like what Rudy's role is and, you know, what he said in interrogations. We don't have that information.
Oh, yeah, because it's not recorded.
Well, I don't know if they might have recorded it with Rudy. I don't know. I couldn't find any of that information.
Okay.
But I do know for certain that Amanda and Raffaele's were not recorded. So now Rudy is saying, yes, Amanda and Raffaele were the ones who murdered her and I was taking a poop in the toilet. So now on October 28th, 2008, so this is almost a year after Meredith's murder because she's found November 2nd, 2007, Rudy is convicted and he's sentenced to 30 years in prison. Now, I'm going to skip forward ahead in time to tell you a little bit about what happens with Rudy because after this, Rudy's kind of out of the story. So in 2009, Rudy appeals his conviction. And this, remember, from part 3, this very confusing Italian justice system is like, trial, appeal, trial, appeal, trial, appeal. Anyone can appeal. You appeal. I appeal. Look under your seat. There's
It's like
an appeal.
the Oprah of appeals.
Yes. And so he appeals his conviction, and appellate judges reviewed the case, and they reduced his sentence from 30 years to 16 years.
Wow.
And yes, that means that today, Rudy Guede is walking around as a free man. And interestingly, we'll get to this in part 17 of this story. Rudy Guede is about to go back on trial for the sexual assault of a girlfriend.
Oh my God. Has he broken any other windows with a rock?
I don't know. But Rudy Guede only had to serve 16 years in prison.
I think that's
and now
fucking
he's out and he's hurting more
wild.
women.
I've never even heard of him.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly. But everybody knows Amanda Knox, which, by the way, I got so many messages and like I got texts from people I know being like, starting with this story with the questions, they said same thing. They didn't know any of the names until I got to Amanda Knox.
Yeah.
And that's really a shame. But yeah, okay. So right before the pretrial hearings start for Amanda and Raffaele, it is announced in the press that investigators had discovered a bloody imprint of a knife on Meredith's bedsheet. Now, this was interesting because when compared to the so-called murder weapon that was found in Raffaele's apartment that had Meredith's DNA on it and Amanda and Raffaele's DNA on it, that
Let me
imprint...
guess. Jerry Springer, you are not a match.
Correct. It was not a match.
Wait, is that Jerry Springer? Who am I thinking of?
Yeah.
There's
Maury.
Maury, sorry.
Yes. So this print did not match. This bloody print of a knife on the bedsheet next to Meredith's body did not match the knife that they are saying is the murder weapon.
Oh, wouldn't you know?
The knife that they were saying is, spoiler alert, that knife also did not match the wounds. Now, there is one I have read in some places that one wound they say could have been from this knife. But this is another thing. Well, okay, you're telling me that the other 6 wounds, I think there were 7 wounds in total, like stab wounds. And there was one that like some of them were like nicks, basically, like warnings that cut into the skin, but were not
like deep.
Okay. You're telling me 6 of them could not have been from this knife, but one of them could have been, but it also could have been from a different knife.
Maybe yes, maybe not.
The theory that they end up posing at the actual first trial, because we're still in the pretrial, is that Rudy was doing the warnings or something, and then someone else, either Amanda or Raffaele, came in with that last knife and did like the final whatever.
Okay, another stretch.
Again, it's just one of those things where it's like, they cannot say that this knife made that wound.
Yeah.
But they also can't say for sure that it didn't.
I need facts.
They can say the other 6 that it didn't.
I need sure facts. I don't need, oh, well, this could have been, it might have been, but we can't prove it.
And that's the thing is like, guys, when you're hearing this information, you need to look at who is telling it to you and ask what their bias is.
Claptrap here. 2 big things are coming this fall. Borderlands 4 and Spotify Wrapped. So stop listening to that one playlist that reminds you of your ex who only made you cry. Talking about you, Veronica. And pre-order Borderlands 4, coming out September 12th.
Rated mature.
A message from McAfee.
I'd say howdy, but I'm not a real cowboy.
And I'm not a real alien.
We're deep fakes, and because of fakes like us,
it's hard to tell what's real.
Unless you have McAfee. McAfee's scam detector automatically identifies text and email scams.
And even deep fakes.
And it works everywhere, even out on the range.
Yeehaw! But you're not even a real cowboy.
If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
Leading a business today means constantly adapting. On the Executive Insights podcast, brought to you by AWS, global leaders share how they're making tough calls, testing bold ideas, and putting innovation into practice, generative AI included. If you're looking for real stories behind what's working, this is it. Subscribe to the Executive Insights podcast today, available now on all major podcast platforms.
United Healthcare nurse Crystal checked in on a patient.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell in her voice that she was struggling.
Crystal knew she needed help.
I knew that this is very serious. This is like septic. This is life-threatening.
And she knew just what to do.
And I called the hospital and said, she's coming in. Here are her labs.
And got her the help she needed.
I see my role at United Healthcare as a life-saving role.
Hear more stories like Crystal's at UHC.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
Expert witnesses. You need to look at, obviously they're being paid by one side.
Yeah.
But you need to go through, like if you really want to evaluate an expert witness testimony, you need to go through their history. Are they always testifying for the same prosecutors? Are they always testifying for the same attorneys?
Yeah,
just because they're paying them well? Like, because then I don't know if you should trust them. You should do this about every fucking thing that we tell you. Like if you really want to be knowledgeable and form an opinion, you should fact check everything I say. Not because I'm ever going to try and lie to you guys about anything, but because I'm a human being and I have opinions on things, and I'm not a professional in any way, shape, or form. But like,
that's actually a really good point, because these people were actual professionals and they still got it wrong. So it's
and they're human beings. But the thing is, if we talk about someone's good at their job or not, they should be doing everything in their power to check their own biases.
Yeah.
To check their, like, if they have a hypothesis, your goal should be to prove it wrong. Like, that's science 101.
Well, yeah, that's kind of their job too.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's just interesting. But I feel like they needed to show that this knife was used, and that's how they were going to do it, because this knife being found at Raffaele's with their DNA, whatever. And it is interesting because how did Meredith's DNA get on that knife at Raffaele's?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the pretrial hearings, and again, we already talked about Rudy. So we're backtracking a little bit to where Rudy started. This is all happening at the same time, but they begin in September of 2008. And the theory laid out in the beginning, again, this is for Amanda and Raffaele, was that Amanda had met Rudy Guede at the basketball courts that night, which is funny because this all started with her story about Patrick. They're like asking her where she met Patrick, and she's like, I don't know, the basketball courts. So now they've subbed Rudy in for Patrick, and she met Rudy at the basketball courts. This does kind of make sense because when the first time she ever met Rudy was at the basketball courts when she was with the guys downstairs.
Okay.
Now, they knew from the downstairs neighbors that Rudy thought that Amanda was cute, and he told this all to the guys. And so they claimed that from that first meeting, Amanda and Rudy exchanged phone numbers and they had an ongoing sexual relationship. Then Amanda met Raffaele and started up a sexual relationship with him too, which, by the way, going back to the fact that they're saying Amanda and Rudy had this ongoing relationship, there is no record of any phone calls or text messages between them ever. Neither of them had each other's numbers saved in their phones.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who the fuck is...
Or I don't know if they ever got Rudy's phone, but Rudy's phone number wasn't in Amanda's. There's no evidence of calls or texts between them. So I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that I've always had a phone, but I feel like, how are you meeting up with this person if you are not calling or texting
Are you snail mailing them?
You're just
like,
finding him? You're just walking around town looking for him? Now, they painted Raffaele, like I said, as this sexually inexperienced nerd, just completely obsessed with this girl who was out of his league. And they claimed that the night of the murder, Raffaele and Amanda left number 7 Via della Pergola and stopped at the basketball courts on the way to Raffaele's. This is where they run into Rudy. Then the three decided that instead of going to Raffaele's, they're going to go back to Amanda's, where they began engaging in sexual acts, all three of them together.
Okay.
And at some point, Meredith comes home and they're trying to get Meredith to play these sex games with them. And when Meredith says no, Amanda decides that she's pissed. Because in Amanda's mind, Meredith thinks she's so much better than Amanda. And, you know, Meredith had such better morals than Amanda. And so Amanda decides that she's going to show her. And she tells Rudy to rape Meredith.
And he's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Now, Mignini claimed that Amanda and Meredith hated each other and they argued about money and morals, which, by the way, they do have people testifying about the relationship between Amanda and Meredith. And like I said in the last episode, my impression is that I think Meredith didn't like Amanda that much, but she was just nice to her.
Yeah.
And I think Amanda liked Meredith, and because Meredith was nice, she didn't realize that Meredith didn't like her, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, Amanda's kind of oblivious to things sometimes. Yeah. So that's my theory. I don't know if that's true or not. But people had issues with her cleanliness in the house, like the roommates did, the poop streaks in the toilet, and, you know, that Amanda was a little bit weird. And sometimes that the guys Amanda would bring over to the house were like strange.
Okay.
But his whole thing was like that they argued all the time about money and morals. There are no witnesses that testify they argue about morals. There's no one that testifies that Meredith ever said anything to Amanda about the men she brought home or them being strange or anything. Not even the other roommates. They don't ever say anything about money. Not that I can find. Now, I have not read the trial transcripts from start to finish, but not that I can find. They only talk about those few things that I mentioned before. So that's interesting. So in Mignini's story, Amanda She tells Rudy to rape Meredith, and so he does. And then Amanda forced Raffaele to hold Meredith down while Rudy is raping her. And then she threatens Meredith with a knife. So the little warning, the shallow stab wounds in Meredith's neck, they say are from Amanda, which is interesting because I believe those are the wounds that did not match the knife found at Raffaele's apartment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he said that he believed, he being Mignini believed that Amanda was the one who had done the actual killing. So if they're claiming that the actual killing was done with the knife from Raffaele's house, and that knife didn't match the warning wounds or the shallow wounds, you're telling, and Amanda did both of them. So Amanda's warning her with one knife, and then she puts it down and gets a different knife that they brought from Raffaele's house to stab Meredith with. And then they get rid of one of the weapons, the first one that caused the shallower wounds, but they take the other one. Raffaele just loved this knife so much, he had to have it back.
Oh, no, but wait, they used the mop to clean up all their DNA evidence.
Yes, even though there was no blood found on the mop, which I don't know, maybe they could have cleaned this, whatever. So this just, again, it's like the details don't make sense here. Now, he also claimed, like I said, that they wanted to perform the killing on Halloween night for evil reasons. Satanic. That's the implication there, is satanic in my mind.
Should quit his career, respectfully or unrespectfully, honestly, but he should go into novel writing.
I think he wrote a book about this
fiction
case.
Novel
I could not
writing.
find it anywhere in English, guys. And
No, I'm talking about not nonfiction.
Oh, yeah, he should write some fiction.
Yes.
100%.
His imagination could win a fucking award.
I agree. Now, he says that they wanted to kill Meredith on Halloween, and they know this because of the vampire comic books and whatever.
The satanic panic.
And he says that this is why Amanda had been texting Meredith the night of Halloween, being asking her to hang out. And it's maybe Amanda just didn't have anyone to hang out with.
Yeah.
But that's why they say that Amanda was texting her, and that's why they thought it was supposed to take place on Halloween.
Damn, I should stop texting you.
Which is so crazy because the way that they talk about what? In case
I realized that that came out wrong.
No, honestly, doing this podcast makes me I need to start watching what I say in text messages because this could be taken out. I'm pretty sure I've said some wild stuff. My whole sense of humor, just for you guys to understand, my whole sense of humor is hyperbole. So if I'm a little annoyed about something, it's I don't know, I can't think of an example that is appropriate. So they're saying that this was supposed to be the night of Halloween. That's so confusing to me because the way that they describe this murder is, Raffaele and Amanda were on their way to his house, but then they ran into Rudy. And then they decided to go back to the house. And Meredith wasn't there at first. Then they start engaging in sex. Then Meredith comes home. They try to get her to engage in the sex. And then she won't. So then Amanda's mad. And then whatever. That all sounds like it's not premeditated to me. That all sounds they just happened to run into Rudy. Then they decided, they changed their mind and went back to Amanda's.
Yeah.
Then Meredith pissed her off by not engaging in the sex. Whatever. But then they backtrack and they're but also Amanda and Raffaele planned to do this on Halloween.
Okay.
And it's
yeah, how'd you get there?
Is it planned ahead or not?
Yeah.
Because then I need you to describe this whole story you told before differently.
You can't? I wonder why.
Now, a lot goes down during this whole pre-trial, but a lot of it is repeated in the first trial. So I'm going to skip over a lot of this in the pre-trial because basically there's a little bit of back and forth in the pre-trial, but the defense is very limited on testing evidence and examining stuff themselves and whatever. So they kind of have the same arguments in both trials, but it's a lot more detailed and a lot more from both sides in the first trial. So that's why I'm going to I'm trying to keep it short, even though we're an hour into the pretrial, but whatever. So I think we're going to leave off for today talking about the time between the pretrial and the full trial. So they go to this pretrial. Rudy's convicted, and Amanda and Raffaele are going to,
pending.
They have to go to trial. It's time, you got to go to trial, whatever. And you're okay, well, at least they're getting things moving, right? Wrong. I think it's another 8 or 10 months before they actually go to trial.
So they've been in prison, not even convicted for almost 2 years at this point?
Yes, they were in prison for nearly 2 years. I think it was a year and 10 months maybe, but it was nearly 2 years before they go to trial.
Wait, so backtrack to Rudy when he, what do you call that? When he appealed? Were they not even on trial when he appealed? Because he was convicted in 2008, right?
He's convicted in 2000. Hold on. This is a really good question.
Because then he was...
Yeah, he's convicted in October of 2008, and then in 2009, he appealed his conviction.
And literally got half of the time off?
Yes, and let me see when they go to trial. I do think it was 2000. Yeah, it was 2009 to 2010 that they were on trial, so yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's kind of fucking mind-blowing to me.
Is this
so not only did he appeal his conviction a year after his trial, he did it while they were still on trial.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's fucking crazy.
And keep in mind, too,
that they said, yep.
While they're on trial at one point, Mignini's also being prosecuted for his, like, abuse of office stuff.
This is a mess.
Rudy Guede is getting almost half his sentence cut down. The guy who's prosecuting them is being prosecuted. And all of this is just, like...
This is a shit show of a fucking situation.
Like, if they are innocent, imagine sitting in that fucking courtroom and they're like, we have your bloody footprints, we have your DNA, we have this, and that. And you're like, how the fuck could you have that?
Like, there's no possible way. I would have literally been like, you guys are setting me up. You're framing me for this.
Yeah, the whole, this whole case is like, it just absolutely blows my mind how this happened. I just feel like if you took out one of the main characters and put in someone else,
like Mignini,
it doesn't work. Like Mignini or Amanda or Raffaele. It's like these people had to come together because of their personal quirks or weird things or personal biases or whatever. And it was this fucking disaster because of it. And yeah, the whole thing's crazy. Okay. So I think that is where we are going to leave off for the day. We are then next time on Thursday. Thursday's going to be, because it's a bonus episode, it's going to be a little bit shorter. We'll have a full length one again next Tuesday. And Thursday, we're going to get into the pre-trial, or sorry, in between the pre-trial and the trial. So we're going to talk a lot about like evidence that comes out, stories that come out, and then we'll start getting into the trial. We might get through the first trial completely on Thursday, I'm hoping. If not, we'll finish it Tuesday, and then we'll get through the rest on Tuesday. Because yes, there's a lot of stuff that happens after this first trial, but a lot of it is like, once you know the evidence and the arguments from the first trial, which we already know a lot of them, but once you know the details on those, there's no sense in repeating them for the 50th time. But yeah, this is a crazy case. So this is a deep dive. Now, I kind of alluded to it in part 3, just because I'm trying not to say too much, but I got some really exciting guests to agree to come on the show. And I don't want to promise anything because I'm like, why would they ever agree to speak with me? So I'm not going to say who it is, but I have a psychological expert that is going to be interviewed, and we're going to talk a lot about this odd behavior with Amanda Knox. So if you guys have any specific questions, actually, it better be a really good one or I won't include it because I did already write all of the questions. But yeah, if yours are better than mine, I'll replace them. But specifically for the legal experts, I'm going to have legal experts. It'll be 2 separate episodes. I will drop them as bonus episodes because they won't come out until probably a few weeks after we're done with this case. But if you guys think of any questions like you want to know about the justice system, about investigations, things like that, DM them to us at A Trial by Podcast, email them to us, atrialbypodcast@gmail.com. If you don't follow us on Instagram or Facebook, I recommend you do, because some of the pictures and stuff I'm showing Emily for this and pictures of evidence, I found a site that I can use them all because they're not copyrighted, which is amazing. That is a dream for us. And I think it's important stuff for you guys to see. And I think it's really interesting. So, I mean, you don't even have to follow us. Our page isn't private. You can just go look at them if you want. But if you wanted to follow us, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. It'd be a lot cooler if you followed us. But yeah, that's it. I hope we will see some of you guys in 2 days on Thursday for trivia. I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm excited. Okay.
Oh.
Ta-ta.
Bye.
Bye. Now, if you guys love the pod, make sure you're following us wherever you're listening so you don't miss out on any future episodes.
And while you're at it, we'd be forever in your debt if you had left us a 5-star rating.
For more content from us, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Both are at A Trial by Podcast.
You can also follow us on our Facebook and join our Facebook group.
You can shop our merch by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting our website, atrialbypodcast.com.
A Trial by Podcast is a fully independent podcast. If you'd like to help support us, you can do so by donating through the link in our show notes.
The site we use for this is called Buy Me a Coffee, but don't worry, your donations will never be used for coffee or frivolous things, only for expenses related to running and growing the podcast. So thank you guys for your support.
Thank y'all. Huzzah.
Huzzah.